Hey guys, so I didn't upload a video last week because I didn't have the time to change it. I couldn't upload the video, first off, and then when I did upload it, my speech was completely out. I think I'm having troubles with my iPod, so I've got so much on my iPod. I mean, it's a 64 gig, but seriously, I use it so much. So sorry if this one's a bit out of, tune, but hopefully it won't be too out of tune, like 5 minutes behind or something. So I'm probably going to upload that video right after I've uploaded this one. I want to upload this one first because I want it to be on time. So I've got notes. Hopefully it won't be too long, but it may be, because I always blabber on, you know that. Okay, so the topic is, how do you write spells / perform them? So this is more of an information video, which I love doing. I know doing show and tell videos is not everyone's cup of tea, so doing information ones are really fun. Okay, everyone, first off, may not agree with what I say. Obviously, everyone has a different opinion, so I will share mine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to say about writing spells is you need to take your time. That's one of the first things I really believe in, because if you don't take your time, you're just going to rush something. You can't just wake up and straight out do a spell. 5 minutes in, you write a spell out quickly and quickly go and perform that. Some people can, maybe. I just don't agree with that, because it's not going to probably run as smoothly as you hope when you perform it. You may just be rushing it, so maybe it's not going to turn out as powerful as you wanted, or you may say the wrong thing, or something like that. If you sit down and maybe plan your spell like 3 days in advance, you plan how you're going to maybe set up your altar, or if you're going to do it outside, or how your circle's going to be, or if you're going to do it under the full moon, you can just plan it, and then hopefully, if you do that, it will run more smoothly and work out how you really want it to work out. I just think it is just so important to do that, because I just, when I do a spell, I want it to go how I want. And if I've done spells when I've just rushed them, and you start talking, I have kind of when I talk, I sometimes go blah, blah, but if I don't plan it, I usually do that more often, or I have to really write my spell down and sit down and write it down. Because even if I read over that spell 500 times, if I'm thinking, I'm remembering it, I usually think of the lines beforehand, and then you get all jumbled up and you end up going, oh, and you say things wrong and so on. So I usually have my book, my book of shadows. I look down on that, how I'm going to be doing this spell. I just feel it just runs so much better if you sit down and plan it. Obviously, people don't always have time to plan it, but maybe if it's a real powerful spell, that you're planning to do under the full moon, you want it to, find some new friends, you really want it to work, you may want to give it a lot of time to plan it. If it's just maybe, oh, I want some confidence tomorrow just to do well in this job, maybe that way you don't need to take as much time, because it's not as meaning to you. It doesn't mean loads and loads to you. But it's best to, just give it maybe a day in advance planning, or maybe halfway through the day you think of a spell and you want to plan it for the night, and so on. Okay, another thing is, spells don't always work. And I've had beginners say to me, and it's not always beginners, I'm not just, aiming at you, they've done a spell and it hasn't worked, and then suddenly they're just like, right, fine, magic's not real. My spell didn't work, I didn't find friends, I didn't find a new boyfriend, I didn't do this, so I don't believe in magic anymore. Now, I don't like it when people do that. You've got to be patient with spells. If you do a spell, maybe it doesn't work. Say you're going to, you're going to learn to ride a bike or something. I'm really just saying random things. You're going to learn to ride a bike on Monday, and you want to show your dad or something that you can ride your bike straight away. You can't just, say, oh, I want to ride my bike straight away and be able to ride that bike straight away. You need to, obviously can't always expect to get what you do a spell for. You need to be patient. Maybe it doesn't happen the first day or the first week. Maybe it happens 2 months down the line. Maybe a year later, you maybe win the money you did a spell for, you know? It just works out like that sometimes. Now, I think it's so much better to write spells yourself, only because it's personal to me. I feel so much more comfortable saying a spell that I wrote. If I'm using books, maybe sometimes there's a word that you're like, what does that mean? Or you're saying the spell and you're like laughing because you think it's funny. Maybe it doesn't, you don't think that it's, you know, put out right. You just feel stupid saying it. If you write your own spell, you're writing that personally, you're feeling comfortable, you know what some word means, you know what you're saying because you wrote the spell. But I don't have problems with, you know, using spell books. Sometimes maybe someone doesn't have a chance to write a spell. I mean, you can use a spell book as a guideline. You know, you can just maybe look at the spell and use that spell book, change it into your own words. So I have this book here, and I haven't really used this for a spell, but there's, for example, there's the Lucky 9 spell. And usually there's a bit of information about that spell up the top, and then you have a list of the ingredients you need. Now, with people using spells from books, you don't always have to have the ingredients in the book, you know. You don't have to, say for example, go out and buy a tiger's eye and a small bottle if you don't have one. Maybe you can change it. And that is why I think it's easier, because when you're writing your own spell, obviously you're writing like what you need in that spell. So if you need something, you usually have it. If, you know, you're writing that into your spell. Maybe you don't. You want to go out and buy something for your spell, but you know what I mean. And you know, you can change your spell. You can just make it a bit more personal. But there's nothing wrong with using spells from books. This is the Ultimate Encyclopedia of Spells, and I've used a spell from this book because I was going to my theory exam and I wanted luck, and I really didn't have a chance to write a spell, so I used the spell from the book, and you know, I had good luck and it was really good. Just because it's a spell from a book doesn't mean it's going to not work, but it's best, I believe, just to write your own ones. Okay, this is probably going to be a bit longer than I expected. I'm really sorry. You can't really expect too much with spells. You can't just say you're starting a new school tomorrow or in a week. You can't just do a spell to make new friends, and then when you're at school, just sit in the corner of the room and say, oh, I don't need to really make any effort because I'm going to make friends because I did a spell. You are not going to make friends just because you did a spell to make friends. You need to have the effort. You need to go up and talk to people. That way, you know, your spell is helping you. Maybe it's giving you some more confidence. Maybe it's going to help you make some more friends. But it's not going to just give you friends. You need to go over and talk to people and, you know, introduce yourself. And that way, you're making friends. You're going to be talking to people. You need to put the effort in when you do a spell. You can't just say, I want new friends. I want money. I want to go out and meet a boy. You can't just do that, you know. You need to put the effort in. It's not just like they do in the movies when they change their hair colour just right in that instant. And, you know, you don't always get it, and you can't just do that. You need to put the effort in. Okay, performing your own spells. Sorry, I'm looking down at my notes because, you know, I wanted to make sure I go over everything. There's many ways to perform spells. It's just what you feel comfortable with. If it's like some massive spell, you know, you really, really want this to be a real powerful spell, and you're planning to do it on the full moon, if you're planning it, you need to plan, you know, everything. If you're going to be outside with your altar, and you're going to create your circle outside, you know, and have the 4 quarters and so on. If it's a real big spell, you know, there's a certain way to perform it. Maybe, you're really going to take your time with it, you know, but just because you do a spell, you don't always have to do, you know, you don't have to really do a massive thing. You don't always have to wait to the full moon. You don't always have to do it on an altar. You don't always have to do it outside. You can just, say for example, you have a presentation to do in your next class at school, and you just want a bit of confidence. You just want a bit of luck. You want to be good in your presentation. You could just sit in class and you can just think of your spell. You can use your mind. You can say a little something in your mind. like a little spell, and that can work as well. You don't have to get in class and quickly put an altar up and do a big, you know, spell. It doesn't have to always be like that. You can just do it in your mind. You can just sit down and meditate and say a little thing in your mind. Whatever you do is, you know, right to you. That is what I love about Wicca and paganism. It's personal to you. There's not a rule book telling you if you don't do this, well, your spell won't work. If you're not Wiccan if you don't do it this way, you know. You make it personal to what you believe, and that is just the great thing. So I'm just going to leave my video at that. I hopefully will upload my last week's one up after this, and I will see you all, well, do another video next Wednesday.